Hi, this is Kelly, and it is day 16 of my 100-day juice feast. And just a quick update before I get into tonight's topic. Um, I had a pretty decent day. Um, I still have not really experienced a relief from many of the issues that I described in earlier videos. Even the edema that I had or swelling in my ankles and feet seems to be sort of back. I'm not sleeping through the night. I'm still getting regular headaches. My allergies are still as bad as ever. My snoring is still bad. I still have swollen nasal passages. Um, my energy, I don't feel like I have a ton of energy. Although last night I guess I did do quite a bit of stuff, but I mean, nothing outside of my normal range of energy levels. Some days I have more, some days I have less. That was always the case. And even this morning when I went to work, I had to read an article on a particular statistical method, and I almost fell asleep. I know that's going to sound surprising to a lot of you, but I was this close to just closing my office door and pulling up my office pillow and laying down on the floor and taking a nap. Probably, if it wasn't for my snoring, I probably would have seriously considered it. But then the afternoon seemed better, and my hunger wasn't as out of control today um, as it normally is either. But one of the things that I just wanted to, the reason that I'm saying all this isn't because I don't think anything's working, but because it does seem like when I watch the YouTube videos and when I look at the people posting on Juicing Mama's Facebook page, it seems like pretty much everybody is already experiencing these great benefits, and some people have had complete relief from some of their conditions within 1 week or 2 weeks. And I I think that if you're like me, because I believe that some people have more healing that needs to be done. It could be that my conditions are harder to heal. It could be that my immune system is strong, but I feel like sometimes when we make these comparisons, we feel that maybe something like we're going to be the exception. We're going to be the person that this doesn't work for. And I don't know. I don't know if there is somebody who is the exception, but the only way to find out is to keep going. And I plan to do this for 100 days anyway. So hopefully I'll start to experience some relief over time. But I just thought other people should also know that if you haven't had any relief, you're not the only one. So just don't think that you are. So I just thought I would share that. So I want to move on to my topic for tonight. So if you're not interested, you can just click stop right now. If you are interested, I'm continuing on another exercise on food addiction. And the one thing I do kind of want to make clear, I'm using the word food addiction just because I think that a lot of people already have that terminology in their head. But the exercises that I'm talking about doing, what they're designed for, at least these early ones, are to just evaluate, to accurately self-evaluate. What is my relationship with food? How long has my relationship with food been this way? What are the costs and consequences of the way that I use food? And am I comfortable with those? Or do I want to make a change? It's not to diagnose anybody. It's not like some DSM list Likert scale 10-question survey where in the end you're going to get a diagnosis where yes, you are a food addict or a compulsive overeater, or no, you're not. It's not about labeling ourselves or knowing or having some kind of diagnosis. It's nothing other than accurate self-evaluation, which I know I have been reluctant to do in the past. Sometimes we don't want to look at the truth about our behaviors because we are afraid to change them. So what good does it do to be self-aware if you're not going to do anything to change it? Because then you just sort of have to live in that really uncomfortable place where you're aware and yet you're not taking action. And so I know in the past I've been reluctant to look at things that I didn't already have some willingness to change because I didn't want to live in that uncomfortable space. But apparently, well, it's clear that I do have some, at least a small amount of willingness to change, or I wouldn't be doing a juice feast. And I'm guessing that anybody else here has at least a small amount of willingness to change. But I do know that some, maybe more than others, are willing to really make a change, so that in the end we don't go back to the old ways that we were living. And there are others that may think, oh, well, once I get this weight off, I can just control it then. And if I start to gain a little back, I'll just juice it off again. And they're just going to continue in that cycle. And if anybody is uncertain about which way they want to go at the end, I think that this is a great opportunity, if you're doing an extended juice feast or fast, to really look at that and say, where am I at with this, and what do I want it to be when this is over? Because you've got all this time where you're not eating, and whatever your relationship with food is, it's on hold, and you can look at these things and start answering some of these questions. So if you looked at the video on my day 11 and did any of the exercises with that, you've already come a long way to doing the exercise for tonight. And it's actually really brief to explain. So I'm just going to remind people of what the exercise was before. Essentially, that was looking at your relationship with food and going back as far as you could remember to see what it's always been like and what were the costs and consequences of that. And when I was doing that exercise, I was going to give you a couple of examples from my life about how far does this go back. So when I grew up, or when I was growing up, we didn't really have sweets in the house. My mom was always very health conscious, and when she did make something like cookies, she would either do raisin cookies or carob chip cookies, which she told us were going to taste like chocolate chips, and they taste nothing like chocolate chips. To this day, I hate carob. But anyway, so I really didn't have sweets in the house. We didn't have soda. We didn't drink Kool-Aid. We drank either water or milk with our meals, and we ate homemade meals for every meal. We didn't have fast food in my town, and we didn't have candy or cookies or anything like that in the house. If we did, it was a really, really rare treat, like a holiday or a birthday or something like that. So when I was in 6th grade, I went over to a friend of mine's house, and her mom had just bought Oreos, and her mom was not home, and it was just the two of us. And I had one, and it was so delicious that I ate almost the entire container of Oreos. When her mom got home later and found that they were all gone, my friend got in trouble for allowing her friend to eat all the Oreos. And so it was clear that from my very first Oreo, I was unable to stop. Like, I just could not stop eating them. And it was also clear that it was something that was bad. That's something you get in trouble for. And I felt ashamed because I had done that and my friend got in trouble for it. And the second memory that I have was around the same time period, I think. So it had already sort of triggered this compulsive overeating. And the same friend of mine, we went to a local store, and we bought a box of Little Debbie snack cakes. I still remember what they were. So we went up to the counter to pay for them, and I knew I was buying them with the intention that we were going to eat the entire box of them. And I was sure that the clerk at the store also knew that. And I didn't want her to think that I was really going to eat them all. So when I went up to pay, I said to my friend, I sure hope the gang likes these. Like I was one of the little rascals or something. I have no idea. But what I know from that now, looking back on it, is that I had already known going in that I had no self-control and that I didn't intend to ever have controlled eating with things like that, but also that I had shame around it and that I was trying to manipulate what other people thought early on by the age of 12. There were other stories I could tell, like one of them involving a friend of mine and raw cookie dough that we would throw away in the neighbor's bushes because I didn't want my mom to know that I had made it, and we would eat until we were so sick we couldn't eat anymore, and then we would dump what was left in the neighbor's bushes. But anyway, I have tons of stories like that. But the key is that how far back that goes. And then also the part of the exercise was you look at every area of your life, your finances, your health, your relationships, everything, and how has your relationship with food impacted that. And so the next step is called a cost benefit analysis, and I can't read, so I'm going to get out my bifocals, which I went from having perfect vision both near and far to being in bifocals in like a really short period of time. So no glasses ever in my whole life. Anyway, so this exercise is called a cost benefit analysis. And you are supposed to make 3 columns on a sheet of paper. And in the first column, you write down the benefits that you get from your addictive behaviors, whether they're emotional, social, or anything else. Now, this is really easy to do with food because that is where my biggest difficulty lies, is, you know, being social, traveling, and stuff like that. So all the fun stuff that you get out of it, and there's more to it than just with traveling. There's also like avoiding reality, so that's some emotional stuff. But in the second column, you write down the costs: social, emotional, professional, physical, economic, etc. Now, you should have gotten at that if you did the first exercise. So you can kind of take that stuff and then put those in column 2. And then in column 3, you all right. In the third column, write down potential benefits from dropping the addiction. So again, social, physical, financial, etc. So that is the exercise for tonight. And I hope that it's useful. And we will talk a little bit more another time. I'm not going to do one of these every night because if anybody really does, now I'm actually doing this stuff right now. So it takes me time because I don't have time to work on it every night. I want to write all this stuff out. And anybody else who wants to try it, I want to give you time to kind of like think about it, write about it, journal about it before I bring up the next step. But just keep in mind that where I'm going with this for myself, my journey, is that I want to find acceptance around my issues with food, and that by the time I get back to incorporating food again, I want to be already at a place where I know what I need to do and I'm ready to do it and I'm mentally in place. So that is it for tonight, and I will talk to you tomorrow.